So, we're going to all take a look at, while Anthony plays it, we're all going to take a look at it. Yeah. 5?
Yeah, that's fine.
Oh, I got 9:32. Okay. Yeah, we'll be done at 9:40. Taking a look at the first basic linear fragment, it's just kick, snare, bell. And if you don't have a cowbell, you can just use the bell of a ride, right? So it's kind of a 6/8 thing at first. 1 and 2, and try to write about that speed. I'm sitting behind the kit, I basically think of it like a circle, because if you think about it, when you're sitting behind the kit, you got kick, snare, bell. So I think of it like a clockwise circle. And you'll see why this helps in a second. Check out the next one. Now we go bell, snare, kick. So when you're behind the kit, that circle works the other way. Does that make sense to everybody? Now the 1-bar patterns I put in there because, yeah, it's a 3-note pattern, but it's in a 4/4 texture. And so if you just play that and think, yeah, I'm going to think of this as in 4 without counting it, your brain's going to automatically revert to 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So I find it useful to have my students actually play the 3-note pattern and count it the way that it's written down there. Now, do you want to try the basic groove? Yeah. Okay. So the basic groove, the third line, basically what you can see is that the first fragment happens 3 times, and then the last note hinges on the first note of the next fragment, where we reverse the direction of the circle, and then that goes 3 times, and the last note of that one hinges back to the downbeat. Awesome. Can you slow that down and play it straight?
Oh, yeah.
Up like you did before and swing it, instant go-go, just add water, right? Okay. Now, the rest of the page, if you've not done a whole lot of independence work with your left foot and you have trouble getting your left foot to do stuff, then this is going to sort of help you step into it. But we don't need to demonstrate all that right now. Everyone give Anthony a hand. In the 6 minutes I think I have left, I just want to talk about some other ways you can take this, some other directions you can take this. When I finally got the groove to happen, I was really happy with it, and I thought that's great. But I didn't have any fills that really seemed to work. I guess because I wasn't that good at it yet. But we've all had that experience where you play a fill, and then you try to drop back into that like mambo groove that you just learned, and it just falls apart, right? And so what I found was a way to maintain the sticking that I use while I'm playing the pattern and to create fills from it. And what's great about this is that it maintains the feel, and it also maintains that thing where in a go-go band, a lot of times the drummer doesn't play a lot of fills. The timbale player might be playing all sorts of notes, but the groove still happens. And so on the second page, there's a whole bunch of fill ideas, but I just want to talk about that real quick. If you put both hands on one drum, for example, the floor tom, and you maintain the sticking, you get this sound. Okay. Now, if I put the backbeats back on the snare drum, and then I sort of orchestrate that around the drum some. Fills you can create without deviating from the sticking pattern at all. So you stay comfortable, which means the band stays comfortable, which means people keep dancing and everyone is all smiles and it's a great time. The last page, the bottom of the second page actually just details some ways you can sort of elaborate on the pattern, and then you can use those to orchestrate around the toms and create some more activity, again, without really deviating from the feel. But the third page just says fun stuff. There's just some ideas that I messed around with. Because I find that this groove works really well fast and straight too. It's actually one of my favorite drummers, this guy Yuval Gabe, that played for Soul Coughing, that used a beat like this on their first record. If you just play it fast and straight, it's still a fun groove, and not at all a go-go groove anymore, but who cares, right? It's a fun groove. You can never have too many of those. And the next 3 lines are just kind of like from having transcribed some of these drummers for a while and kind of getting some insight into like what they like to do on the instrument and kind of how they they work their tricks on the instrument. The first one says, "What would Gad do?" And it's just kind of a joke because this is kind of something he might do. Right? Okay. What would Garibaldi do? Well, this groove I can't even play yet. I got to be honest. But he always did that Swiss triplet thing, and so that's, you know, when you practice it, it's. Except he would play it way faster and make it look really easy. And then the thing about Danny Carey, he's a drummer for Tool. He played a groove on their second record that just blew my mind the first time I heard it, because it's like a that just blew my mind. So I figured out you can kind of make that happen with this this go-go thing. It looks a lot harder on paper than it actually is if you step into it. Anyway, the last thing I really want to mention really quick. This is music from DC, and you know, there was just an article in the Post about it like a week ago about how the music's going away, and which really can't happen. And a lot of it depends on younger generations picking up the music and playing it and searching for the old music. Some of it's not on LimeWire or YouTube or iTunes, and you might actually have to, you know, talk to people and borrow CDs. But the music's out there. If anybody wants to talk afterwards about, you know, why go-go never made it out of DC, or you know, if you have questions about the last couple of pages, which we didn't really get to, there's a tune by 311 who were from Omaha, Nebraska, but somehow heard go-go back in the day, because they used, in the middle of their tune called Applied Science, they used a go-go groove. So that's just a drum set transcription. First one, right? And none of that is go-go stuff. That's just something that Chad Sexton played that I thought would be like red meat for you guys, would be into it, because it's a really fun drum break to play. But I also ended up arranging this for a marching percussion section. It was a lot of fun. And so the very last page is a way you can get if any of you guys work with high school marching bands, or if any of you guys are part of college drum lines or high school drum lines, you're more than welcome to steal this. It's a really fun groove to play, and it doesn't take that much work, and it sounds like go-go. The second page actually has the arrangements of the fill licks from Sexton, but I didn't want to give that away. But you can have this. We're out of time. Does anyone have any questions? If you want to come chat with me afterwards, I'd be more than happy to talk to you. Again, thanks so much to PAS and Shenandoah, and thanks for filling the room. And enjoy the rest of your day.